Are they anything to do with these holes?
Probably.
Lovely shape though. That's quite deep in there. Break that off, of course. Yeah, lovely. The log, the tree, is a fallen tree from just so close to the studio, just from a woodland over there. You can see on the hill. This fell down at least 2 winters ago, one of the storms, and this huge tree fell across the track, so they had to cut it out of the way. And this was the part of the tree where it starts to branch. Once you've got the stem of the tree, and then it starts to branch in different directions. So this section I bought from the landowner, the top bit of the tree that had fallen down. So because it's where there are branches going in different directions, I thought it's an exciting part of the tree, because you get lots of centres, like where this limb was, there's a centre.
That's one. That's another big stem coming out like that.
And this is where there are 3 centres, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's complex basically, and the shape, that if you stripped all the bark off that, you'd have a sort of many limbs going in different directions. But we want to get as much of an intact sphere as we can, but with these sweeping missing bits that are going to be hopefully really interesting. And the client is excited to have missing bits of the sphere, because the site where it will go, the private garden, was an old orchard, and so there's that thought that this is perhaps a bit like an apple, a half-eaten apple that fallen from a tree in the orchard. So there's a nice association with the end situation for it.
So that initial process is just offering up the template in one position over one plane, and chainsawing and carving away until I can get the template down to the center points that we've marked, and just doing that really carefully to create that form just in that one strip. And then once it's pinned on, the template guides all of the further cutting, so there's less consideration and thought about just nipping a bit off, because the template tells me where to cut. So that initial point of getting it on is quite tricky, and I have to be really careful not to take too much material off, because I don't have the template to guide me. I'm only offering it up and taking it away again.
And there was quite a lot of discussion about where in the log the template should go.
Knowing that there's going to be some missing, if we knew it was going to capture all of it, you just pick the central points and go with that.
Around,
whereas this, we knew there was going to be a lot missing, so we had to really think about where we wanted it missing more on one side, less on the other side. So you can see where I put it on, that's the most complete side. So it's quite a good idea to pick a side that you want to be complete and put the template on, because then you can just keep going until you've got that full surface.
And every time you do this, there probably is a little bit of tweaking from putting the template on and using the template, and when that goes on and when it comes off, and how to judge what you do with the chainsaw, what you take off, then swapping to the Arbortech, how much you can take off with that. That has become more and more efficient, hasn't it?
Got that pretty dialed in.
Using the template like this has evolved over 20 years, really. I mean, the first spheres that I didn't use any templates at all. I just rolled a piece of wood around the workshop floor, standing back and taking a bit off here and there, and it was really crude. And the second one that I did, I used dividers, so to measure in distances and taking a bit off to get the distances equal, but it was a while before a template was used. And then doing things like having this oversized bit, what do we call that, the spud? at either end to capture the stainless steel pin, so that at the end of taking off the template you can cut that piece off and you've got a perfect sphere without a hole drilled into it to take the pin. So there are things like that that are being introduced. Yeah, so there was a really sort of torn out limb that had rotted back in on one side of the tree, and we were just a bit worried about, we needed to have some of the bulk of that, but didn't want all the diseased timber, some of which we've got with all this different colour. The browning of the timber is because of fungal attack, isn't it? And we've just got some cracks left from the damaged, ripped out limb. So that's quite good that there's only that little bit left.
So I will just keep marking wherever this template touches, and then move it out the way and keep cutting. So, when obviously this bit that's missing just gets ignored until the template comes around to more timber.
You can see there's a massive amount of material here that's just got to go, and there's quite a chunk of material here that just is going to be taken away. See, all this material will be arbortect away back to the heartwood. So you see this lovely curving line, that's where the shape will change from the actual surface of the sphere to then a kind of internal shape. It was quite scary at the beginning, wasn't it? That
Committing to
where the pins have to go in, where the template is secured.
And we knew there was something really interesting in there, and we've had to cut quite a lot off.
A load, yeah.
Making those decisions of what to cut off and where to cut it.
That's coming right round and going to come out somewhere down here. So all this has got to go.
It's just a stainless steel pin that's captured
Like a sandwich.
So that's the centre line, and these holes to receive the pin are drilled perfectly in line with the centre line. So they're sort of parallel, opposite each other on either side of the wood, so it can rotate around that centre. So that's just stuck in there, so it goes about that deep. Catches it. That point there, that's what we sort of mark up and try and decide before we do any cutting. There's an optimal area sort of there that's sort of a comfortable height to use the tool at. But it's quite rare that I can get it to be in just the right place because it's too heavy to lift with the forklift. I can only sort of push it and roll it and sort of nudge it around, which is not ideal, but yeah, it's definitely too heavy to pick up at the moment. Maybe once the template's all the way around, I might be able to pick it up. Don't know. So just going to hook this on here and hope that it holds enough for me to pull it. it will just sit back against that. Not quite as much as I wanted it to, and I could come and lift it up, but I'll do a bit in that position and then play around with it again. And I'm looking for where there's no gap between the template and the piece, so there's solid contact. So there, so that's what needs to go. But that's one part. If I cut beyond where my line is, I'm just guessing, and I will inevitably go too deep or not deep enough, and it's just a waste of time. So although this seems laborious, it's really accurate. Build up a big lip like this where the Arbitec can't get in because the body of the machine is just in the way, so I just create a good solid line that I can use as a guide for the chainsaw. So just buzz a big bit off with the chainsaw now, and that allows me to keep going with the Arbitec. So it's below, it's sort of, you know, that's where the shape is at the moment, and I'm cutting sort of way, I know I'm outside of the shape. So the fine shaping work is done with the Arbitec, and the chainsaw is just for clearing big material, bog material. It's not creating the shape. Just get to a point where the tool won't get in close enough to cut, so you cut it off. But where it's the template's in a missing bit and you're coming back onto timber, it's kind of annoying because it hits at every point, and I'm trying to sort of mark with the template from the top so I can get that off. Yeah, it's always more difficult coming back onto timber rather than just being on it all the time. Normally I keep it in one place and I pick it up and bring it back and then roll it, pick it up and bring it back and roll it, so it stays in the same place. But because I can't lift this one, I've just started over there and kept rolling this way. So we're quite far into the site, further than I want to be. There's no hard standing here, and so the forklift has a tendency to sink. Just making sure that if it does decide to go one way, it doesn't go too far. the big chunks have come off now. You do that initially and then get to a point where you start questioning, like, am I going to be taking something out of the shape? And it just becomes too risky. So then it just becomes little slivers as the template shows you where it is. But there's still a bit of work to do. Once the template's round, I'll take all of the sapwood out of the missing bit and then spoke shave the surface, and then it'll go inside.